Welcome to the Restoration Pros Unplugged podcast. In each episode, we're going to bring you insightful interviews and discussions with top restoration industry leaders. We're also going to delve into their business, the strategies that made them successful, and most importantly, the valuable lessons they've learned along the way. I'm your host, Clinton James. I'm also the Chief Marketing Officer at Water Restoration Marketing. We're a digital marketing agency dedicated to helping restoration companies nationwide secure more high-value water jobs. Now, this show, it aims to provide you with the knowledge and tools you need to excel in the restoration industry. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. And welcome, everybody, to the Restoration Pros Unplugged podcast. As always, I'm your host, Clinton James, the Chief Marketing Officer over at Water Restoration Marketing. I have met my fair share of awesome restoration company owners. Today's guest is no exception to that rule. This is a man who literally grew up in restoration. I'm talking about working his way up from being a helper right behind his big brother, all the way up to owning a Powerhouse restoration company out in Tennessee. So it is our pleasure today to welcome to the podcast the owner and operator of Mid-South Restoration Services, Michael Harrison. Michael, thank you for joining us for the podcast today.
Appreciate that.
Now, Michael, for those in the audience that don't know you, why don't you give them a little background on Mid-South Restoration, where you guys are located, what kind of restoration services that you offer?
All right. So we're an independent restoration contractor based out of just a little town called Summerville, Tennessee. We're just north of Memphis, but we kind of service that tri-state area right there. So water, fire, mold, reconstruction, contents. We're a full service vendor, licensed GC. So we handle it start to finish.
All right. So you've got a unique story in that you literally grew up in this industry. Why don't you tell everybody about how you got into restoration?
So my brother has been in restoration 28, 30 years, something like that. So I used to be his little helper. From, I guess, 14 to 17, I'd help him on jobs and kind of picked up in the trade a little bit. So when I turned 18, I went to work for one of the big franchises as a helper. I kind of got hooked in it. It's I make a funny joke, but it's one of the things that sucks you in. Once you're in, you're in. You can't really get out of it. So, that was kind of how it worked out, man. One thing led to another, and I kept my head down and learned as much as I could learn, and that's where I started and worked my way up.
Now, nobody that's sitting in a middle school, high school class is dreaming of a career in restoration, but I'm sure you had like an aha moment, right? Where you were like, hey, this is probably going to be the industry that takes care of me and my family for the rest of my days. Can you talk a little bit about what do you remember what that moment was for you?
Yeah, when I got that first big paycheck with all that overtime on it. We were doing some pretty large projects, working a bunch of hours, man, and it's like, I don't know, something about it intrigued me, but I mean, it was good money. I mean, back in 06, 07, like it was good money back then, so that's what really hooked me in, I think. So,
I mean, and compare yourself to your friends at the time, right? Some of them were working maybe retail, restaurants, stuff like that. I mean, your paycheck's probably a little bit bigger than their paycheck on a regular basis.
Yeah.
All
Just a little bit.
All right. So the money's really important. But you've also working and growing up in restoration, you've kind of seen the impact that a good restorer can have on a homeowner, right? Is that really important to you?
Yeah. I mean, 100%. I mean, we see people sometimes at their worst. Some of our clients and customers have never been through anything like this before and don't even know where to start to put the pieces back together. So we come in at their worst and we try to turn those things around and help them through the process and get them put back together whole again. So, it is very satisfying seeing that start to end process, and just being there for people when they need you. I mean, that's what it's all about.
So you've held probably every role a restoration company has, right? You said helper, lead tech, project manager, GM. And I'm sure you've worked under a lot of great people and some that weren't so great, right? So, but what do we learn? We learn lessons in every step of the voyage there. So, what did those years working under people teach you about how you wanted to run your restoration business?
I think it taught me a lot both ways, good and bad. think you've got to take any situation and take the positive and negatives and learn from both sides of it. I think that I learned a lot of things I didn't want to do to my employees. I didn't want to treat them. And then also I learned things that I did want to do for my employees that really impacted me. Um, I've worked for several different companies, the big guys, the little guys, independent, franchise. So I got a good broad spectrum before I ever went on my own on what kind of everything, the different ways that everybody ran things. So I think that gave me a good idea. And by no means am I perfect at it. I'm still learning every day. So there are a lot of personalities in this industry, and we try to come to work do the best we can for our clients and provide them with an exceptional service, and we do the best we can every day.
Do you remember the worst boss you ever had in the restoration industry?
Yeah, I do.
We're not gonna name names on the podcast, but
Yeah,
can
we're not
you
allowed to do that. So,
is there one thing that you can think of that he did that you said, damn it, when I start my restoration company, that's the one thing I'm not going to do to my team, or that's the one thing I'm not going to do when we're working in the community?
yeah, I think there's a couple moments there in a couple different situations. I think that the biggest thing for me was I'm going to answer the phone no matter what time it is from the crew. And if they need me, I'll be there. Uh, so I mean, just the other day I was out on a large loft job with the crew, setting water and setting fans up. I mean, I'm not scared to get my hands dirty. I'm not scared to lift up when you need it. Obviously, we all have our job to do to keep the wheels turning, but sometimes they need that. They need that. The boss has still got it. The boss has done it. The boss can do it. Thing. Um, so I think that's one thing I really learned is I've worked places where we're all a big team. I've worked places where everybody's got their job and you don't mix and mingle. But I definitely like the team oriented. Everybody helps everybody. Uh, it benefits us. It benefits the customer all across the board.
Well, I like what you said there, right? You do occasionally need to show your team that, even the new guys that weren't around when it was just you, some DHUs, some air movers, like doing the majority of the work, the new guys, they never saw Michael in the field, right? So you're giving them feedback, coaching, development, sometimes criticism on the job that they do. And they really need to feel like, if Michael was in the field, he could do this job and he would do it well. Right. So do you like being that kind of owner operator, or do you see yourself at some point, hey man, I'm a CEO. I'm not actually in the business. I'm out working on the business.
Yeah, that's something I truly struggle with because coming from the trenches and starting in the air, that'll always be in my blood. So I struggle with you person, honestly with you. I'd rather be out in the field than work. You ready? We still in the office, worrying about this job and that job. So sometimes I think I enjoy it, more. But like I said, we got a business to run, we got things to do. So but I do enjoy being out there with them. And I think that it gives you a new respect knowing that I've done what they do.
Mhm.
And exactly what they go through on a daily basis. Because there's some days that really go slow. Some days it's very rewarding. There's some days it's great and easy, but other days it really, really sucks.
That makes sense. How many years has Mid South been in business?
So we're on our sixth year currently.
Okay.
Um, so we're constantly growing and getting bigger and bigger and bringing on, always looking for the right people. And, so.
Awesome. You told me that the decision to start Mid South happened on a Friday night drive home. So let's go back 6 years. Walk me through what happened that day.
Ooh, rough day at work on Friday. I will give you that. Had a rough day at work on Friday. I was on my way home. I lived about an hour from the office. Had a good little drive home. On my way home, I got a phone call from a newer insurance agent that I've been building a relationship with, doing some work with. And he said, let me ask you a question. He said, where do you see yourself at in 5 years? Never really thought about it that way. So he said, do you see yourself still working for the guy you're working for? And he said, honestly, I'm struggling with some things right now. I said, I'd be lucky if I make it to the end of the next 2 weeks or a month, he said something to me that really hit me. He's like, man, you came in, you called on me, you handle my jobs, you inspect my losses, you write the estimate, You're taking care of my customer. You're calling me to collect money if I owe it to you or if customer owes it to you. Why are you not working for yourself? He said, I've never met the guy that owns the company you work for. I wouldn't honestly walk in unless I'm doing it today. Why are you not doing your own thing? And I said, well, that's a big leap. I fake the take. We just bought a house. We're looking to adopt a child. Like we were really setting our roots in the small town we live in, and it really wasn't on my radar at all at that point in time. So he's like, all right, well, my wife's coming home, I'm gonna let you go. Hung up the phone with him, and I had an adjuster call me within a few minutes of that. And, it's very similar conversation. He's like, man, you're doing it all, you know the industry. And why are you working for somebody else? Why are you not working for yourself? And I was like, same conversation. I'm like, that's a big leap, So I talked to him for a few minutes, had about another 10 or 15 minutes on my ride home. And I really thought long and hard about it. And I was like, you know what? If the good Lord has it in the cards for me, then this is what we're going to do.
You have to assume having those two conversations with two people that don't even know each other, literally within moments of each other, there has to be some like divine intervention there, right? I know you're a man of faith. What did that kind of hit you like in that moment?
It's hard to say. It's hard to explain. At that point in time, I knew the operations inside and out. The business part of it was a whole nother ballgame for me. But I got home that afternoon and I said, hey, I walked in and looked at my wife. I said, hey, we're going to start a business. And she's like,
now, what did that, because your wife is active in the business, but she also at the time was running a doctor's office, right? You guys you said you just bought a house. You were in the middle of trying to adopt a child. How did that conversation go?
She freaked out a little bit. She's like, how are we going to afford that? How are we going to do this? She's always been super supportive of anything that I wanted to jump into feet first, but that freaked her out. And she's like, I don't know. Like, I was like, well, we need to start doing some research on what all we need. And, one thing led to another and the cards fell in place. And, before we knew it, we were sitting at the table, spitting names out, trying to come up with a name.
And where did Mid-South come from? Did you come up with that, or did she come up with that?
To be honest with you, I had to look back. I don't even remember. I mean, there were so many names on the list. Like it just stuck. I mean, it was like, we're in the Mid-South, we do restoration. It's got one thing led to another, and that's what we came up with. And like, it just worked.
Easy enough. Now you did a little over $1.2 million your first year in business, and that was all from referrals, right?
Yeah, 1.6 actually to be the exact number.
Oh, fair. Sorry, I didn't mean to undervalue the revenue.
Yeah.
How did those relationships that you have come in, and how did that really help accelerate your growth that first year?
So there's an interesting part of this because we started calling, I put a thing on Facebook. Hey, I need a commercial insurance agent that does commercial insurance for the restoration industry. I need some help with getting GL insurance and work comp and those types of things. So I hooked up with my current agent, which is still my agent today. I'm super faithful to, just because he helped me through the trenches of what I didn't know. So one thing.
Wait, you're burying the lead. That's, he helped you so much in that first year. You mentioned, what is it, a no audit insurance policy that you had?
Correct. I didn't know what a no audit general liability policy even was at the time. So
tell the audience what that is.
All right. So your GL insurance is based off of your gross revenue. So whatever you do gross revenue, typically we get audited in a year. And if we anticipated that we're going to do this amount at the beginning of the year, then if we did any more of that, we would get audited at the end of the year and we would pay the premium on that difference. So I told him that I was going to do $250,000 the first year. And he said, well, let's be safe and let's do this. He's like, I can get you with a carrier that has a no audit insurance policy. That means they can't come back at the end of the year and audit you and charge you premiums on the difference on whatever you do. So I would already paid GL insurance on $250,000 the first year. And we did 1.6. So in a normal insurance situation, we would go back and pay the premium on the difference, the 1.2 million.
That's a big check to write.
Oh yeah.
Now, if you're driving and you're listening to this, this does not mean you own a restoration company. This does not mean you can, call your insurance agent and say, "Hey, I want to sign up for the Michael Harrison no audit insurance policy for the next year."
Correct. So we rolled that. They allowed us to roll a no audit policy after they looked at our books the first year.
Okay.
Obviously, we had to anticipate doing more than the 1.6 because we're going to grow. So I think we set it at like 2.2. Got to be realistic with it. Second year, we bought a no audit insurance policy. The third year, the insurance carrier came back and said, "That's it. Your no audit insurance policy days are over with. You're gonna get audited every year, and you're gonna pay premiums on what you physically do." So great help from my agent on that, because I would have never known. And there's still things today that pop up, and I'm like, let me call my agent. I gotta figure this out. Like, so having built the good relationships that we have with people, and having the right people to lean on. It's not all about what you know. A lot of times it's about who you know.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so we're 100% referral based.
Okay.
Agents and adjusters, and obviously we do a little bit of Google here and there, but most of our work is insurance agents and adjusters. So.
Okay, so not TPA work, not program work. You've got relationships with the insurance agents, and they're referring their book of business your way.
Correct. And it is a little different. I know a lot of people don't navigate that way, but it's the way we built it. Is really to we offer free inspections to all of our agents across the board, and say, hey, we'll go out, we'll look at it, we'll say, hey, this is claim-worthy, this isn't claim-worthy. We'll use my crew has to combine. We probably have 50 or 60 years worth of experience in the restoration industry. So we will use that to best navigate that customer through the process. Should they make a claim? Should they not? Is this going to be a denied claim? Is this going to be a covered peril? We can't 100% tell you because we're not an adjuster, but we can help guide you based off of our previous experiences. Yes, this is a $15,000 loss. You have a $1,000 deductible. We need to make a claim, or this is a $500 loss. You have a $1,000 deductible. It's not worth making a claim. So we help them with getting those $0 claim payouts off of there, because that follows you around.
Sure.
So we've really been successful in that. And then just really taking care of people when they need it most, and building those relationships is what really has worked for us.
I like that. Now, fast forward a few years, right? You guys are in year 4, in year 5. You guys are, went from making a 1.6 to now you're up to almost a $5-6 million company, but you were barely making any money. What was actually happening inside the business that you really couldn't see that was slowing you down?
Well, we hooked up with a couple of commercial agents. We started, our size of jobs were growing. We were doing more commercial, still hitting the residential hard, but really doing more commercial. And there was a couple different things that happened. We growing so fast, we were kind of behind the 8 ball a little bit with, needing equipment and needing trucks and needing people. And, we probably overstaffed a little bit trying to accommodate. We had a couple of really big projects going on. And so there was a factor of a lot of things that led to that $6 million year that was not as profitable as some of our lower gross volume years. When we figured it out and we stopped and we backed up and we're all right, next year we're not going to push new business as much as we are. Let's figure out where we really messed up. Like, thankfully we've never been in the red. We've never been in negative. We've been profitable every year, but there's a difference in being profitable and being where you want to be profitably.
Sure.
So we figured out that we needed to back up a little bit, and we needed to kind of, I got some coaching personally. I got my team some coaching as far as leadership goes and management goes. And we kind of reevaluated the system a little bit and got organized, more organized.
Michael, you mentioned, getting some coaching for yourself, your team members to kind of right the ship. You've got decades now of experience in the restoration space. Was it a little difficult for you to, kind of take a step back and say, hey, maybe I could bring in somebody that knows the inner workings of actually running a successful restoration company, as opposed to you who've been in the field, a GM, you've run all these functions. Was there any hesitation? Why am I going to go pay a coach? I've been in this industry for a long time. I should know how to generate a really profitable business.
Yeah. So it took a minute to swallow it, and it took a minute for the team, because everyone, wants to think that they're the greatest at what they do. But at some time we have to humble ourselves and realize we only know what we know, and we're only good at what we're good at. We're not good at everything. I was really good at the operations part of it, putting the right people and on the right jobs to get the job done and get it done efficiently. And but I wasn't so good at leading the team, which I still struggle with daily because coming from operations and in the field, it's kind of a cross between that leadership versus that worker mentality. So I still struggle with it today. Um, but we figured out that once we opened up and we look back and like systems really do work, you know, uh, the guy that we hooked up with that did my coaching really dug me into things about my business that I didn't even know. Like, uh, from the books to the operations to allowing managers to be managers and not having to make every single decision. We never really had an issue with like the quality of work we were producing to the customer. We always have been really well with like producing that clean job, drawing it correctly, the customer being happy with the end outcome. But did we spend too much labor on it? Did we spend too much on materials? Did we keep the customer within budget on their materials they selected? Those types of things where you really can bleed, we weren't doing very well at. So, we really keened in on those things. If you send 4 people to that job, could 2 people really have done it? Things like that can really cost you money and you don't even realize it.
What would you say to the restorer that's, in the truck, with little windshield time today, listening to the podcast, driving to the next on-site visit, that kind of feels similar? Hey, man, I've been at this for decades. Yeah, I'm not as profitable as I want to be. Should he pick up the phone or reach out to a coach or a consultant and look for some help in riding the ship and just making his business more efficient and more profitable?
100%. 100%. So you can ask my team that my entire mentality, who I am as a person, changed when I started getting coaching for the better. Uh, they seen more growth in me than I seen in myself. And it's the same with my team. I seen more growth in my team than they did in themselves. So, and it's not so much that it's really weird how it worked because we don't notice it as individuals, how much we grow, with coaching in place, talking about the right things at the right time and really setting a plan out for the future. And that could be anywhere from a operations standpoint to a marketing standpoint. Everybody, there's so many different moving parts in what we do that there can be really, everybody says it's one train, but I don't think it is. I think it's multiple trains on multiple tracks that have to get everybody to the same destination at the end.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. All right, so you have grown the majority of your business, 90% or so, on agent referrals. You have avoided TPA work at all costs. And I talk to restoration companies on the agency side every single day. And a lot of the guys that built their business almost exclusively on TPA work, they're hurting right now, right? Claim volume is down. There's more restoration companies in that TPA in their service area. So they're taking the same 10 jobs and spreading them out where they used to spread it out with 2 restorers. Now they're spreading it out to 5, 10 restorers there. What would you say to the restorer that has historically built their business on TPA and is looking to make a change? Where should they invest their time in kind of growing their sales numbers? Maybe not abandon the TPAs because they still need a little bit of that job flow coming in. But what would you say should be the thing that they look at next to really grow their business?
I think that's a hard struggle to turn back from. For me, I think it's easier to stay away from it when you never got into that. We actually looked into getting into that at one point in time. The only thing that steered me away from it and what made me walk away was I had no issue giving up a percentage of the work that you're going to send me. What I had a problem with is knowing that 90% of my business was agent referrals. They wanted me also to run the agent referrals through the program and then get a percentage of that. We all know that TPA, we call it beat you up. I mean, you got to follow the SOPs. And I really think you got to have somebody that knows the SOPs almost better than the TPA program does. But really, when they said, well, we want you to give us a percentage of what we want, everything you get through the front door to come through the TPA program, if it's for these carriers, I wasn't willing to do that. Why should I give you? I've paid for the marketing. I've paid the marketing person to go give me that job. why can't they get the commission for bringing the job in? Why should you get that for me doing all the work to get the job and then you're going to get a cut of it? I really didn't agree with that.
you're you're adding new agent relationships every single year, right? So talk about what it takes to actually build and maintain new agent relationships in 2026.
That's tough. That's tough. I mean, sometimes we got to eat some crow, you know. I think that being consistent, having the right marketing team to visit these people, and with agent referrals, I think it mixes your operations team and your marketing team mixes together, because you've got a person going out there selling to this agent that we're going to do good service, we're going to take care of your client, we're going to do this for you. They're going to come back and make sure that crew, like my salesperson was actually out on a job today with my mitigation crew, making sure that job went the way it needed to go. Like that she could go back to that agent and say, hey, I was on site. We took care of this lady. You know, so I think that they kind of mingle together and they'll hold each other accountable if you allow them to. But you have to have that marketing person involved in somewhat of the communication operations part of it, because they're going to be the one going back to the agent. The agent's going to be calling them, asking questions. So communication is key. And then, you know, just be open with people. I mean, if I don't think it's covered, I'm going to tell you, I don't think it's covered. If I think that it's a gray area, I'm going to be the first one to tell the agent, I think it's a gray area. I had this conversation with one of my big agents yesterday, and I was like, look, you know, I can't tell where it's covered or not covered. I'm not an insurance adjuster. I said, but in my experience in the last 20 years, it's a gray area. So we need to turn a claim in to find out. Okay. Let's turn a claim in. Let's get an adjuster on site. Let's figure out what's going on. You know, so, you know, and knowing when to push and when not to, you know, is a big part of it, I think, too, because you got to keep I tell my crew, I was like, you got 5 customers, really. You got the insured, you got the adjuster, you got the agent, you got my sales lady, and then you got me. So there's about 5 customers you got to keep happy at the end of the day. So it's definitely a very fine navigational point to keep everybody. And to tell you, it's not always unicorns and rainbows. I mean, it's not always easy. I mean, there's disagreements that I've had with agents. We respect each other. I respect the position they're coming from. They respect mine. Same thing with my marketing lady. I mean, we don't always agree upon everything, but we're here as a team. We got to work together. At the end of the day, the solution is, what does it take to take care of the customer?
I like that. I like that a lot. So you have kind of righted the ship, made the business a lot more profitable moving forward. You took a portion of those profits last year and invested in a franchise. I can see the pink shirt. I can see the plunger on the wall. You took the plunge, no pun intended, and invested in a One Tom Plumber franchise. So walk me through what that courting process looked like in terms of getting you to actually buy into the franchise model. Because you, my friend, in our conversations, are not a big fan of franchising.
I'm not. I think that they have the right place for the right people, especially if you don't have a lot of experience in that industry you're getting into. I think they can be really beneficial. But it was hard for me to go that way, not seeing what I was going to receive back out of it, you know, having the experience I had and the relationship I already built. Mm-hmm. But yes, I jumped into a One Tom Plumber franchise. And if you ask the CEO at the time, I was probably one of the hardest sales he ever had.
Was that Rocky?
Yeah, it was Rocky.
Okay. All right. We've had Rocky on the show before.
He says that I'm one of the hardest sales he ever had. So, you know, in our area, there's a lot of plumbing referrals. There's a lot of people paying plumbers high dollar for their referrals. You know, and I've never got into that game. I'm not a big cash referral guy. I prefer, I'll take care of your customer if you call me with a job, and I'll take you to lunch. We'll go to dinner. We'll go hang out, whatever. But I'm not a big money exchanging hands guy. That's not really what I've ever been about.
But that's a game. In a city like Memphis, that's the game.
That's the game. That's the game. And some people are realizing it's hard to give $600 away on a job that's only $500. It's catching up. Mm-hmm. So the biggest thing for me is getting more into the commercial work. You know, we go out on a flooded building, and the customer be like, "You got a plumber?" And I'm like, "Well, I got a guy I can call, but I call him at 9 o'clock on Saturday and he says, I can't be there till Tuesday. I mean, yeah, that customer doesn't really want to hear that. They're
Yeah.
trying to get back open again.
Yeah.
So we jumped feet first into it. We literally cash funded out of our profits last year for last. To start up the one-time thing, no SBA loans, no bank loans, straight up cash funded it, bought the vans, equipment.
Straight cash, homie. I don't remember what movie that's from, but that's the way you did it. Okay. Tell me a
So,
little bit about what you thought was going to be the byproduct of having your own plumbing franchise, and tell me what the reality has actually been for you.
so the byproduct was hopefully to get more water damage leads. I mean, that's what the whole goal in this is who's the first person you call when your house is flooding? You call a plumber. So if we can get in there first, then we can get that referral over to Mid-South. And we train from the top to the bottom for that. We train our dispatcher that answers the phone, says, hey, I got told overflowed. Or do you have any water on the floor? How many rooms got wet? Since when you call a plumbing company and they ask you how many rooms of water on the floor you got when you're calling to have a cold out clock,
No.
So they get that information and she'll try to dispatch our sister restoration company at the same time. And then if she can't, and they say, no, I just want the plumbing fixed right now, that's fine. I'm gonna have a plumber come out on site. And that plumber is going to get on site and figure out what's going on. He's going to take care of your plumbing issues, but he's also going to say, you really should probably get this cleaned up. We can get our restoration company out here today, 24/7. We're available. So there's a second sales side of that.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of hit that customer twice. And we take care of the ones who sell that referral back over in-house. So they got a little competition going. Who can get it? If the dispatcher can't get it, the tech's going to work twice as hard to get it. So they got a little rivalry, which I like. But that's the end goal. Obviously, we want to be profitable as a plumbing company. It's not all about the referrals, but that is what we do. I mean, that's what got us to where we're at. So,
but the last conversation you and I had, you really like the plumbing stuff, right? That keeps the cash flow a moving, doesn't it?
Yeah, cash flow is very different. Both businesses are very, very different. I will promise you that. So they're both, trade oriented customer service roles, but cash flow with the plumbing company is a lot different. Where, in insurance, you're talking about 30, 60, 90-day pay, sometimes longer. With the plumbing, if it's residential, you're pretty much paid when you're done. If it's commercial, worst case, you're net 30. So your cash flow is much different. Obviously, your numbers are smaller, and but it is much simpler because a job on a restoration site could be a month long, with rebuilding everything, and sometimes longer. Plumbing, you're usually in and out, so your number of jobs is higher, but so they both have their pros and cons. But I do enjoy the plumbing. I think there's a quicker turnaround on satisfaction. So when I hire a salesperson, all my salespeople are dual branded. They sell both companies.
Okay.
So we call it long money, short money around here.
Makes sense.
When I interview a market person, I say, look, you got the plumbing company, which is short money because it's quick turnaround. And then you got the restoration company, which is your long money. So you put that together and it works out very, very well.
Like that.
What you'll figure out, though, that we figured out is your best plumbing customers aren't always your best restoration customers.
Interesting.
And your best restoration customers are not always your best plumbing customers.
Why do you think that is?
I think it depends on the dynamic of the facility. Sometimes they work out together and they're great. We do quite a bit of commercial clients that will use us for both, and it works out great. I've got some commercial clients that love us for plumbing, but they're not looking for a retail, a full service. Like when they get water on the floor, they're looking for somebody to mop it up and throw a fan on it. And that's not really what we're about. We're a true restoration company. We're going to do it right or not at all. So we're not a good fit for some of them, but we still love them and they still send us plumbing jobs every day. So, I think that finding the ones that fit and the ones that don't is a key part of it, but they definitely do work well together.
Good. Glad to hear. So what does the next few years look like for Mid-South and your One Tom Plumber franchise? Where are you trying to take these businesses?
That's funny you say that because we're currently working with a team to figure out where they want to take it. because that's what it really boils down to. It's not as much about where I want to take it. Yes, I have a lot of influence in that, and I have a vision, but they got to have that same vision, and they got to have input on that vision too, because they're the ones that are building it. You're not doing it by yourself, not at this point. I mean,
Sure.
you're doing $1 million a year on a truck, you can do it by yourself. But when you're doing $5-6 million a year and another million plus in plumbing, I mean, you are got to be team oriented, and you got to let the team have some buy-in. So I have a great team right now, and we actually brought 4 new people in recently that we're working on getting trained up. We want the right people. We're at the point now where we don't want people. We want the right people with the right attitude and the right mentality. I can teach you how to do restoration all day long, but you gotta want to learn it, and you gotta want to take care of the customer, and you gotta be positive.
I like that.
Uh,
If there's a lot of people out there struggling to find good people, what's the one piece of hiring advice that you would give that restorer that's trying to get that next technician, trying to get that next project manager, trying to get that next estimator? What are some nuggets that you can give them that
let
maybe they can
me
use?
let me tell you that the last week, and I'll be real vulnerable with you right now.
Sure.
I had to look in the mirror and say, quick to fire, slow to hire, because there was a couple people that when I let go this morning, that was not a good culture fit for our company. He did not come in with a positive attitude. He was not a team player on the job with the rest of the people. And I had a new guy that started on Monday and sent him out to a demo job. Most of my team was on a big demo job for a commercial client that is really good to us. And he complained the whole time and just made it to the point where I felt like the new guy didn't even want to come back to work the next day.
Hmm.
And I sat down and I really thought hard about it. And I'm like, is he a good fit for me and my company and what we're trying to do here? I don't think he's a bad guy. I think that I wish him the best of luck wherever he's going, but you got to get rid of the bad apples because they will spoil the bunch. And I've been the world's worst because we are busy and we are consistently doing jobs that it is hard to let go of somebody that shows up to work and does what you ask them to do. But those people aren't really the people you want. You want people that are motivated, that want to do better, want to learn more, want to grow, and want to come in positive and help the team. Um. So, and that's kind of what I'm looking for now. And I think that we've got a couple new guys that are really going to be really good.
Awesome.
But the biggest thing is we've held on to some way too long.
I think that's a good lesson for all of us, right? I love that. I'm sorry, slow to hire, quick to fire, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I
And
should know.
it's easier to say it than it is to do it. I will promise you that. So,
That's fair.
you've got to do what's best for your business, and we're not looking for mediocrity.
It sounds like you're in the process of getting the right people in the right seats, and that's going to mean the world to Mid-South and one-timers as you grow both of those businesses there.
Correct. And I knew yesterday when I when I talked to my team yesterday about it, about how I felt, and every one of them went around the room and said, "Look, I'm a project manager rebuild side, but if you need help on mitigation, I got you." My sales girls, like, if you need me to put boots on and go suck water, I got you. We're going to do what we have to do to get our customers taken care of. We agree 100% with that decision. He's not a right fit. And we're going to pick up the pieces and pick up the slack if we need to. It was a no-brainer for me at that point. Everybody else saw it. I just was too honorary to accept it. So, big learning moment for me even today, at this point. So,
You might have been in this business for decades, but it's really nice that your team can help you grow as a leader, right? As a business owner.
Sure.
There. So,
Yeah.
well, man, I really want to thank you, Michael, for coming on here, for being vulnerable and sharing that story, because I'm sure you're not the only restorer that's like sitting in that seat, right? Having to make those hard decisions there. So, again, if anybody's interested in reaching out to you, having a conversation with you about your experience, maybe some insight, maybe potentially investing in a one-time plumber franchise, where's the best place for people to find you?
Hey, shoot him my number, shoot him my email. they can
I
read out.
probably won't give them your phone number, Michael, because I don't want you getting a bunch of phone calls, especially how good you're looking in that pink shirt. So what we'll do is we'll tag you on social media. We'll put your contact information in the show notes, and if somebody's interested in reaching out to you, we'll let them do it that way. So
Dude, I'd love to help any way I can.
I
So that's what
appreciate
it's all about.
I appreciate you being on the podcast today, Michael, and sharing your experience, sharing your story. If you guys like what you heard today, make sure that you guys like and subscribe to the Restoration Pros Unplugged podcast. We'll be back next week with another insightful guest like Michael, sharing some things that you can take, actionable items, put in place to help grow your restoration business. Again, thank you, Michael, for the time. And thank you, audience, for joining us. If you like what you heard, make sure you go leave us one of those 5-star reviews. Say something nice about us so more restorers actually find our podcast there. So thanks again, Michael.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Restoration Pros Unplugged podcast. If you like what you heard today, be sure to subscribe, share, and also leave us a 5-star review. We'll be back with more interviews and discussions with restoration industry leaders really soon. In the meantime, if you're a restoration company looking to add more high-value water jobs, you can reach me and my team at waterrestorationmarketing.net. Again, that's waterrestorationmarketing.net. I look forward to hearing from you soon.